Hello all, welcome to my channel. In today's video lecture, we'll be looking at the different methods used for enumeration of viruses. Now, when we say enumeration, it can also be called as quantification or the assay of viruses, or in simple words, the counting of viruses. It is an important step before the production of viruses on a large scale or before we use them for any research work. The reason being, you need to know how many viral particles are present in a suspension before we actually get down to working with them. So there are different methods involved in the enumeration of viruses. Many methods are in place, and these are some of the methods which we will be briefly looking at in today's lecture. So one of the earliest used methods for the quantification of viruses, in fact, the microscopy was the standard method earlier. So when we say microscopy, we cannot use a bright field microscope because viruses are very small in size. They are ultra microscopic, having a maximum size of 200 nanometers. Hence, we need to go in for another type of microscope, which we call as the electron microscope. And one of the types of electron microscope which was regularly being used for counting the viruses is transmission electron microscope. Now, transmission electron microscope is a type of microscopy, or this is a method wherein we are preparing the sample in a particular way and we get around 1000 times more magnification than a regular bright field microscope. A modification to this, or another type of microscopy which can be used for checking or counting the viral particles, is the epifluorescence microscopy, which is also called as the wide field fluorescence microscopy. Now here we use a stain, for example the SYBR green 1 stain or SYBR gold stain. So we use a particular fluorescent dye which is going to stain the particles, and then we are going to count the fluorescently stained particles, something similar to how we do it in flow cytometry. So the transmission electron microscopy and epifluorescence microscopy are two methods which can be used for counting the viruses using a microscope. The TEM is more time consuming, so that is the transmission electron microscope is more time consuming. Hence, epifluorescence microscopy is in demand now, or this is the one which is being used for uh, the counting of viruses using microscopy in comparison to transmission electron microscopy. The reason being, TEM is not only more time consuming, but it is also slightly expensive when we are looking for field study. That is when we want to isolate and count the number of viruses from a water sample or from a soil sample. Using TEM becomes expensive, so epifluorescence microscopy is what is more preferred these days. But apart from microscopy, we even have other assays or methods which we use for counting. The second one being the heme agglutination assay. Now, this is an example of a viral enumeration method which is based on the chemical properties of a virus. So, you can group it as a chemical method for quantification of viruses. Now, in this method, what is basically done is those viruses which have a heme agglutinin protein, that is, if the virus has a heme agglutinin protein, that protein will agglutinate or it will clump the red blood cells. So this is a method which can be used only for those viruses which have this heme agglutinin protein with them. For example, the influenza virus, which is why this heme agglutination assay is a regular method for counting influenza viruses. What we do here is various dilutions of the viral sample are mixed with 1% RBC solution and kept for 1 hour, or they are incubated for 1 hour. During this 1 hour, the viral particles will release the heme agglutinin protein, which will combine with the RBCs and agglutinate them or clump them. That agglutination is seen visibly. We can visibly determine the agglutination of the RBCs, and it is expressed as heme agglutination units, or what we abbreviate as HAU. So the dilution at which the agglutination occurs, the lowest dilution at which the agglutination occurs, is determined, and then that is taken as the HAU. So this is again one easier method, easier in comparison to microscopy. It's an easier method for the counting of viruses, but it is restricted to those viruses which have the power of agglutinating RBCs. The next method that we have is an example of infectivity assay. Now, infectivity assays, it is actually a battery of tests. There are many infectivity assays that we know. Infectivity assays are those which require the virus to infect a cell culture or a particular embryonated egg. So we need to see them do the infection. That those assays or those methods are called as infectivity assays, and plaque assay is one such example of infectivity assay. Plaque assay is a method wherein we are using we are determining the viral titer in the form of plaque forming units per ml, that is abbreviated as PFU per ml. So the known amount of virus can be obtained from here, and then we can do our subsequent work. Now, initially, this method was discovered for bacteriophages, or it was developed for bacteriophages by Felix de Herel, but later it was modified by Renato Dulbecco in 1952 for use in animal cultures and animal cells. And from then we have been following the modified Renato Dulbecco's method. It is a standard method which can be used for the bacteriophages as well as animal and plant viruses. Now, the PFU or the plaque forming unit is the measure of virus quantity over here. So, what we do here is that a monolayer of the host cells is cultured. So, the host cell could be a bacteria if we are looking for a bacteriophage. It could be an animal cell if we are looking for an animal virus. It could be a plant cell. So, based on which is the virus we are planning to count, we need to take the respective host and prepare a monolayer of the host cell. Once the monolayer of the host cell has been prepared, then it is infected with a virus, with whichever viral suspension we have to count, and then it is covered with an overlay. When we say overlay, it is a semi-solid medium of either agar or carboxymethyl cellulose. So once we have added the stain, we have added the suspension and we have added the suspension of the virus to the medium that is containing the host cells. Now over that we are adding an overlay of either agar or carboxymethyl cellulose, basically a semi-solid medium. This is being done just so that the virus does not spread indiscriminately. We are restricting the movement of the virus. Virus can still move around, but it will not move as rapidly as it could have without an overlay. So just to prevent the virus from spreading indiscriminately, we are adding an overlay of a semi-solid medium, and then we allow it to incubate for either for 3 to 14 days based on the type of virus. When the virus is allowed to incubate, when this viral suspension is allowed to incubate, viruses form visible clear zones which we call as plaques. Now these clear zones are formed because the virus has lysed the cell, it has killed the host cell, moved on to the neighboring cells, killed them, then moved on from there. So because it has formed a zone where all the cells are dead, that is why we are able to see these clear zones as plaques. And these plaques can be either visualized directly or by staining with a stain like crystal violet, which can only stain the live cells. So either by using a simple stain or visually directly, we will be able to see the clear zones. And these clear zones are then counted. Each one of those clear zones is considered as a plaque, and it is assumed that one plaque has been formed from one viral particle, from the infection of one host cell. So counting the number of plaques helps us to find out the plaque forming unit, something very similar to the colony forming units that we have for bacteria. And using that, we will be able to find out how many viruses are there in 1 ml or per ml of a sample. So each clear zone is considered to be a plaque, and each plaque represents infection by a single virus on a single host cell. So the number of plaques will ultimately give us the total number of viruses that are there in the sample. But because we don't directly count the viruses, hence instead of calling it as 20 or 50 viruses per ml, we call it as 20 or 50 plaque forming units per ml. Every plaque coming from one virus, assuming that every plaque comes from one virus. So this is a very popular and standard method for viruses which show an apparent infection. Hence it is called as an infectivity assay. As you can see over here, this is just to show you one plate which has been stained with crystal violet, and the clear zones which are seen over here are the plaques that are present. There are several modifications to this plaque assay as well. We have focus forming assay, we have endpoint dilution assay. So all of these assays are also used for the counting of viruses. These are modifications because in focus forming assay we use immunostaining technique. So we are fluorescently staining and finding out the infected cells. In endpoint dilution assay, it is based on the 50% tissue culture infective dose. So how many, I mean 50% of the cells have to be killed or the cytopathic effects have to be seen, and how many viruses are required for to do that is what we find out. So there are different modifications of the plaque assay, but still it is a very popular assay for the counting of viruses. The next method that we have is the POC assay. Now POCs are also called as the lesions. So they are usually caused due to the aggregation of the cells, and it is an example of a cytopathic effect. That is an effect that is seen on the tissue due to the viral infection. So the POC assay is usually done on the chorioallantoic membrane of the chick embryo, as you can see over here. The chick embryos are inoculated with a diluted preparation of the virus, and after incubation, the number of these POCs or lesions that are seen over there are counted. The number of POCs that are being formed on the embryonic membranes are counted and then multiplied by the dilution factor to get the final concentration of the viral particles. So a modification to the plaque assay is usually done on a culture medium which has the host cells, whereas POC assay is being done directly on the CAM, that is the chorioallantoic membrane of the chick embryo. The next method we have is flow cytometry. So not all the viruses can be used not all the viruses can be counted using the infectivity assays. So we go in for another method which is very useful, that is the flow cytometry, wherein fluorescent dyes are added to count or detect the viruses. What we do here is we are moving the viral particle through a channel or through a tunnel like region in which only one cell can be passed. As they move through the laser beam, as the sample crosses the laser beam, their concentration is being measured. So here we can even use samples with two dyes, one which is staining the proteins and another which is staining the nucleic acids, just to make sure that we are counting only the viral sample and viruses in the sample and nothing else. But this again is an easier, or we can say a quicker method for counting the viral sample. That is using a fluorescent dye and passing it through this sample chamber, such that as it passes through the laser beam, we are able to count the individual particles, individual viral particles. Apart from these, we also have certain methods which are being used for the counting of viruses, like PCR, that is the polymerase chain reaction. So at times, instead of counting the virion directly, the nucleic acid of the virus is quantified by the quantitative PCR. You amplify the viral nucleic acid and then count that easily. That is called as PCR. So we are amplifying a specific sequence in a mixture of nucleic acids and then we count that particular sequence. So PCR again has two main, there are the physical methods. When we say, the two major methods are the quantitative PCR and the other one which I have told you earlier, which is microscopy, that is the TEM and epifluorescence microscopy. So in PCR, if the primer set is developed, it is easy to quantify, but quickly mutating viruses like your RNA viruses, it is difficult to design a primer. But if the primer is already designed or it has been already developed, this polymerase chain reaction is a quick and easy method for quantification. Not only that, PCR helps you to even detect very low concentrations of the virus. So that is why PCR is also in use as one of the physical methods along with microscopy for counting of the viruses. We also have many other methods that are involved. Like I told you, I have only given you an overview of some of the important methods, but we even have other methods in place like the Western blot method or several serological methods like ELISA, using sequencing, virus neutralization assay. So there are many more methods which are used from one lab to the other. It is all based on which method is convenient for us to use at a particular time and which is the sample that is going to be checked. So I hope you all have got a brief idea of the different methods used for enumeration of viruses. See you all in the next lecture. Thank you.